Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. I hope you're doing well wherever you're listening from. Today feels like one of those conversations that a lot of people need to hear, not because it's new, but because it's honest. How are you today?
I'm doing good, actually. A little tired, but in a good way, the kind of tired that comes from trying not giving up. And honestly, I think that already connects with today's topic. I'm really excited about this one.
Same here. And you're right, today's topic is very real. We're talking about why consistency beats talent, and I feel like almost everyone has struggled with this idea at some point in their life.
Exactly. Especially when you grow up hearing things like, she's talented, or he was born smart, or, some people are just gifted. It makes you question your own abilities if things don't come easily to you.
So let's start simple. When people hear the word talent, they usually think of something natural, something you're born with. Maybe you learn faster, speak better, or understand things more easily than others.
Yes, and on the other hand, consistency is almost the opposite. It's not exciting, it's not dramatic. It's about showing up every day, even when you're not motivated, even when progress feels slow or when no one is watching.
And that's why this topic is so important. Because society often celebrates talent loudly, but consistency works quietly. And many people quit too early because they think, I'm not talented enough.
I've noticed that talented people often get a lot of attention at the beginning. They impress others quickly. But consistency is what decides who stays in the game long enough to actually succeed.
That's such an important point. Talent might open a door, but consistency is what keeps you inside the room. Without it, even the most talented people can fall behind.
And also, consistency builds something talent alone cannot: discipline, patience, and resilience. These are things you don't get overnight, and you definitely don't get them just by being gifted.
I think many listeners can relate to this, especially students, young professionals, or anyone trying to build something: a career, a skill, even confidence. You start something with excitement, but after a while, it becomes hard.
Yes, and that's usually where comparison begins. You see someone else progressing faster and you think, they're just more talented than me. But you don't see their daily habits, their failures, or how long they've been consistent.
And that comparison is dangerous because it ignores effort. It ignores time. It ignores the small steps that don't look impressive but actually matter the most.
So in this episode, we don't want to say talent is useless. Of course, talent exists. But the real question is, what matters more in the long run?
Exactly. In the next part, we're going to go much deeper. We'll talk about real-life examples, mindset, discipline, and why consistency often wins even when talent seems stronger at first.
If you've ever felt untalented, behind, or discouraged, this conversation is for you. Don't go anywhere.
I want to start by challenging a belief that many of us grow up with: the idea that talent is something fixed, something you either have or you don't. Philosophically, this belief is comforting and dangerous at the same time. Comforting, because if you fail, you can blame the lack of talent. Dangerous, because it removes responsibility from your hands. When we say, I'm not talented, what we often mean is, I'm not good at this yet. But society rarely adds the word yet. Talent looks impressive because we only see the result, not the repetition behind it. We see the performance, not the practice.
That's true. And psychologically, believing too much in talent can actually limit growth in ways people don't immediately notice. When someone believes that ability is fixed, that you either have it or you don't, every challenge starts to feel like a test of your worth. The moment things get difficult, the mind automatically looks for an explanation, and the easiest one is, maybe I'm just not talented enough. This way of thinking is dangerous because it turns effort into something optional. If success depends on talent, then trying harder feels useless. As a result, people stop pushing themselves the moment progress slows down. They avoid difficult tasks, they quit early, and over time, they limit their own potential, not because they lack ability, but because they stop believing in growth. Consistency completely changes this mindset. When you commit to showing up regularly, even imperfectly, your relationship with failure shifts. Failure is no longer a personal judgment. It becomes feedback. Instead of seeing a mistake as proof that you're not good enough, you begin to see it as information, something that shows you what to improve next. With consistency, failure loses its emotional weight. It becomes part of the process rather than the end of the road. You expect setbacks. You understand that progress is not linear. And most importantly, you stop asking, am I talented enough? And start asking, am I willing to keep going? That small psychological shift is powerful because once effort becomes the focus, growth becomes inevitable.
Consistency is not just a habit, it's a philosophy. It's the belief that small actions, repeated over time, can shape your future. This idea exists in almost every successful system: education, fitness, learning a language, even relationships. From a philosophical perspective, consistency is about trusting time. You trust that even if today's effort feels meaningless, tomorrow it will matter. And that trust requires maturity, because humans naturally want fast results.
And that's exactly where many people struggle today. We live in a world built around instant gratification. Everything is fast internet, fast results, fast opinions, fast validation. We're constantly trained to expect immediate improvement, immediate success, and immediate recognition. If progress doesn't show up quickly, we start to doubt ourselves and the process. Social media makes this even harder. We see finished results without seeing the years behind them. We see success without the struggle, achievements without the routine, and confidence without the doubt that came before it. This creates an unrealistic expectation that growth should be visible and exciting all the time. But consistency asks for the opposite. It asks you to work in silence when no one is watching, when there is no applause, and when the results are not obvious yet. It asks you to show up on ordinary days, not just when you feel inspired, but when you feel tired, bored, or unmotivated. Consistency also requires you to accept boredom and repetition. Doing the same small actions again and again doesn't feel heroic. It doesn't feel special. Progress often feels slow and invisible, especially in the beginning. But that quiet, repetitive effort is exactly what builds real skill and real confidence. In a world that celebrates loud success, consistency teaches patience. It teaches you to trust time, to respect the process, and to believe that slow progress is still progress. And those who learn to stay consistent in silence are often the ones who succeed when the noise fades.
Let's take a very practical example. Learning a new skill, maybe speaking English, learning to code, or even starting a podcast like this one. A talented person might learn faster in the beginning. They understand concepts quickly, pronounce better, or create content more easily. But if that person only works when they feel inspired, progress stops. Meanwhile, someone else practices 30 minutes every day. Not perfectly, not brilliantly, just consistently. After 1 year, the gap changes completely.
Yes, and this is something many learners don't realize until much later in life. Talent can give you speed in the beginning. It allows you to understand things faster, perform better early on, or stand out at first glance. And while that speed can feel exciting, it can also be misleading. Consistency, on the other hand, gives you direction. It creates a clear path forward. When you are consistent, you know where you're going because you're taking regular, intentional steps toward a goal. Even if those steps are small, they are connected and they move you somewhere meaningful over time. Without direction, speed doesn't really matter. You can move very fast, learn many things, or try many opportunities, but still end up feeling lost. Speed without direction leads to burnout, confusion, and frustration. You feel busy but not fulfilled. You feel active but not productive. Consistency aligns effort with purpose. It turns movement into progress. It makes sure that every action, no matter how small, is pushing you in the same direction. And in the long run, that focused, steady movement always beats fast but careless speed.
Another important point is the difference between motivation and discipline. Talent often depends on motivation when you feel good, when you feel confident. Consistency depends on discipline when you don't feel like it, when progress is invisible. Discipline is uncomfortable. It forces you to choose long-term benefits over short-term comfort. And this is why consistent people often succeed in environments where talented people quit.
And discipline is a skill anyone can build. And that's the truly empowering part of this whole conversation. Unlike natural talent, discipline is not something you're born with, it's something you practice. It grows slowly through repeated choices, especially on days when it feels uncomfortable or inconvenient. You can't choose your natural abilities, your background, or the advantages you started with in life. But you can choose your actions. You can choose to show up, to try again, to keep going even when motivation disappears. Those choices may seem small in the moment, but they carry long-term power. Every day, consistency gives you a vote for the person you want to become. When you choose to practice instead of procrastinate, to learn instead of quit, to continue instead of stop, you're shaping your identity. Over time, these votes accumulate. They turn effort into habit and habit into character. And eventually, discipline stops feeling like force. It becomes part of who you are. You no longer rely on talent or mood, you rely on commitment. And that's when real growth happens, not suddenly, but steadily, and in a way that lasts.
Interestingly, talent can sometimes become a weakness. Talented people are often praised early, which can create fear of failure later. When things stop being easy, they feel lost. They've never learned how to struggle. Consistent people, on the other hand, are familiar with struggle. They expect it. They know that difficulty doesn't mean the end, it means growth.
That's such a powerful point. Struggle builds character, and character is what carries you forward when talent is no longer enough.
If you look at long-term success, not short wins, but lasting impact, consistency always shows up. It builds credibility, trust, and mastery. Over time, consistent effort compounds. What starts small becomes unstoppable.
And that's the quiet beauty of consistency. No drama, no shortcuts. Just steady progress that changes your life slowly then suddenly.
As we start wrapping up today's conversation, I think the most important message here is not about rejecting talent, but about redefining what truly matters. Talent might give you a head start, but it doesn't guarantee that you'll reach the finish line. Consistency, on the other hand, is something quieter and more personal. It doesn't depend on applause, luck, or natural ability. It depends on the decisions you make when no one is watching, when progress feels slow, and when quitting feels easier than continuing.
Exactly. And what I find powerful about consistency is that it puts control back into your hands. It reminds you that even if you don't feel special, gifted, or exceptional, you are still capable of building something meaningful. You don't need to be extraordinary, you need to be committed.
If you're listening to this and feeling behind, or feeling like others are moving faster than you, I want you to remember this. Your pace does not define your potential. Progress is personal. What matters is not how fast you move, but whether you keep moving at all.
And if you've ever told yourself, I'll start when I feel ready, or I'll try again when I feel more confident, maybe this is your reminder that readiness often comes after action, not before it. Consistency creates confidence, not the other way around.
Consistency isn't easy. It's boring sometimes. It's uncomfortable. And there will be days when you don't see any results at all. But those days are not wasted. They are building something inside you: patience, discipline, and resilience. And one day, often without realizing it, you'll look back and see how far you've come. Not because you were the most talented person in the room, but because you stayed when others left. So if there's one thing to take away from today's episode, let it be this. Don't underestimate the power of small, repeated efforts. They may feel invisible now, but over time, they change everything.
Talent may impress people, but consistency changes lives.
Thank you for spending this time with us. We hope this conversation gave you something to think about, and maybe something to act on.
If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, just keep showing up.
Until next time, take care.